Well, Bill's a veteran referee in the high school and college ranks, and I'm sure he'll do a great job tonight.
And at 118, as we said, Iowa State figures they have to start fast. But they have Perry Summitt in there against Steve Martin.
I think one of the things you're going to see here is a difference in the physique. I think we have a larger 118-pounder in Perry Summitt, and we really have a 114-pounder, the international weight class for Stevie Martin, and so that could make a difference.
Now, Martin, of course, of Iowa is in the black. The Iowa State colors are red. You might be interested to know, too, the two coaches had full weeks this week to work with their teams. And the story was the same from both sides, that they'd had the best week of practice they'd had all year.
They were both excited about the kind of practices they had.
Perry Summitt in the red on the left, slightly lighter if you just happen to be watching in black and white, against Steve Martin, who is a freshman.
Well, I wonder if we're going to see anything to do with shape here. Perry Summitt coming off, just coming back from an ineligible scholastic-wise. It could play a difference here.
There's a single, nice double leg shot turned into a single by Summitt. We'll see what he can do with this.
Well, he's got to come around and clear that arm so that he can get through. Otherwise, he's going to let Steve Martin hang on, and he doesn't want to have a stalemate. There it
is. 2 points for Summitt. Now, if you remember last year, Summitt keyed that big meat with a pin.
Right here, you're seeing Steve Martin try to get into a Granby position. Rightly so, his dad really invented the move, and you're going to see him try that from the bottom.
That's a fact. His father, Billy Martin, at Virginia Beach, Virginia, did invent the Granby roll. Oh, he lost him. And Summitt hurt himself. We have these sorts of things happen, you know. You never know what's going to happen in a meet. And Summitt came from putting his man back to the mat and came up hurt.
It really surprised me. It looked like he put Steve Martin down hard, and I didn't see the fact that he came down hard. Here comes the replay. On in this, as he brings him back to the mat, you're going to watch Stevie Martin go into a Granby roll position right there. It was really Martin's move, but it was Martin's move. He had a Granby position going right during that coming down to the mat, but you did see Summitt hit hard.
Yep, he hit right on the side of his head and neck there, probably. Jarred him right down the spine from the looks of it.
That was pretty impressive on Martin's part, though. He really had that Granby going.
So, here we go again. Summitt leads 2-1 after the escape by Martin.
I think that Steve Martin is going to have to establish himself on the feet here to score enough points to beat Perry Summitt, because I think he's going to be able to get away. He's just got to get the takedowns.
Steve Martin, you may remember his brother Billy, who wrestled for Oklahoma State.
Yeah, an All-American.
Summitt is in it again on that single leg, locking onto it. He's taller than Martin, too, and that helps. 4-1 after a takedown. Easy.
Now you watch here, really, Stevie has his arms. Steve Martin had his arm where he wanted. Perry Summitt was over the arm and not inside it, and that gave Steve Martin the opportunity to get out.
Well, it made the crowd appear that he was that Summitt was forcing a near fall position, but it was not true. It's 4-2 now after the escape. Well, let's see, first minute of the period is gone, and we're down to the last 25 seconds now.
You know, Summitt is getting what he wants here. Summitt is scoring the points from the feet, and he's not worrying about Martin getting out and getting one. You'll trade 2 for 1 anytime.
Again, the long single shot, and he has just about 15 seconds to do something with it. Uh-oh, it's Martin. And there's a big takedown for Steve Martin on a counter. That's exactly what Iowa wanted. There's Dan Gable.
Perry Summitt got out of position there. Flattened out, and it enabled Steve Martin to spin around for the 2.
Well, as you said, Iowa's looking for an upset in one of these first 3, and it's happened at 118 before. Summitt looked a little tired there at the end of that period.
He did already at the end of the first period, and it could be a factor.
Who had the choice there? Summitt is down at any rate. Summitt had the choice. He decided to go down. goes out. Might be a reversal, it is. And he let Martin go.
Now right here, he's going to have to improve. There, he cut off.
Oh, Martin did a nice job that time. Both up.
What action here. Steve Martin did do a nice job of hipping into Perry Summitt there to enable him to keep from getting taken down.
All right, the tempo's already up. We're only at 118 pounds. Iowa against Iowa State. Summitt has had 3 takedowns. Martin got one at the end of the first period and didn't get answered by an escape. That's the time to get him, right at the end of the period. Again, Summitt, he can reach that almost any time he wants it.
What he's not getting done, he's not getting cut across to the double in time here. He's getting in on it, but then he's losing his position.
And Martin, who scored this way one time, is beginning to sprawl out and come around for the takedown, and he now leads 7-6.
You know, all the initiation has been done by Summitt, and the counter moves by Martin has enabled him to get 2 takedowns.
This would be a tremendous morale booster for Martin, who's had a tough start to the year.
What has happened is Summitt's in a position he doesn't want to be in. He did not want to have Martin think he was in the match at this time. And right now, you can believe that Steve Martin knows he's in the match.
Best thing that's happened to him all year. Lots of ways here. 7-6, Martin of Iowa leading Perry Summitt. We know that the Cyclones wanted to win the first 3 because Iowa gets tough in the middle and has capability of getting major points in there too. Martin driving in with his weight, but Summitt does get into the hand fighting position and comes out. It's a tie, 7-7. Riding time, nothing matters. 20 seconds to go in the second period. There's a beautiful goal. 3, 4, 5. Look at the clock. It's a 3-point near ball. And there's the end of the period. Referee didn't hear it. A big throw by Summitt, a 5-point lead.
You've got to believe that Perry Summitt believes in himself because he really threw himself into that lateral. Nice hip action. Here it comes right here. He decides right there he's going to go, but he really throws his hips into him, stays with him, ends up,
that arm up.
You bet, has it tight. There must be something about this Hilton Auditorium come up with the big throws.
And that was a 5-point move.
He likes it.
Now Summitt, Martin decides to go down.
Okay, bottom man set. Top man in.
And so Summitt is asking his coach, should I let him go or what? He's going to stay on him for a while, I think. Now he's going to let him go. 12-8. An escape for Martin.
Now you got to get going.
Well, what Summitt cannot do here is play it conservative, and it doesn't look like he's going to. But the last thing Coach Gibbons wants is for Perry Summitt to become conservative here.
12-8. There's a long shot again.
Now here's where he's got to finish off. He's holding on, and this is where he's going to get in trouble. He's got to cut off like he's trying to do. He's got to either come through or cut off. He's got to finish it. He can't sit there.
A lot of time going by, meanwhile. This has cost 30 seconds so far.
Right. It's not really hurting Perry Summitt in some ways here because it's getting time off the clock.
Stalemate. And up we come to the middle. Billy, I'm going to keep wanting to call him Billy Martin. I hope I haven't called him that yet. It's Steve Martin of Iowa, freshman from Virginia Beach, Virginia, now down by 4. There's a double leg by Summitt. He puts his hand right on his back. I don't think he got ball points. He didn't hold him long enough.
There's where the new rule comes in, Doug. You have to have a 2 count. Last year, that would have been 2 points. This year, no.
You have to hold him for 2.
They are looking for the extra points here. They want at least a 4-point win by Summitt. You're going to see him continue to cut Steve Martin loose and try to rack up the points.
We have a minute to go in the third period. Opening match, Iowa and Iowa State. Summitt against Martin. And Summitt leads 14-9. That's the difference of that big 5-point throw he got a while ago.
Boy, that was a winner throw. I'll tell you what, in a meet like this, the winner is going to be the one that's most aggressive.
That was a warning against Martin. Bill Ross said he was blocking off with his head.
Well, I'll tell you what, you get a little gun shy.
Back to the middle again.
You get a little gun shy, Doug, when you've been thrown like that.
Summitt, who comes from Bloomington, Indiana. Steve Martin from Virginia.
I'll tell you what, the job of Steve Martin right now is to keep this thing a 3-point decision and not to let it be a 4.
Well, there are 15 seconds left, and it would take a throw, I think, for anything to happen now.
And you're not going to see a throw here because if something happened and he slipped, that's 5 points for Steve Martin. So you're going to see Perry Summitt circle, play it conservative here. It was a nice win for him.
He hasn't been warned yet, and so he can afford to take one. And Martin can't. 14-9. We're down in the last few seconds. You can see Martin trying to get a throw, and he couldn't. And Iowa State, after falling behind, comes back and wins at 118.
That was an interesting match. I think that a lot of desire came through on Perry Summitt because I think he was tired, and I think he just decided that he had to have this match, and it was a great throw that he threw, and there's a lot of fortitude there.
That was the turning point in the match. With a 7-7 tie, Summitt threw a beautiful lateral drop on Martin and got 5 points from it to take the lead that was the margin of victory.
You know, you've got to wonder, when you come off